Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're doing really well. My name's Humna and I create content connected to art, healing and spirituality. My work basically revolves around the Ayaat of Quraan and the 99 names of Allah, through which I create grids that help us come into a space of connecting to our creativity through our intuition. That what gets created is in remembrance and in ibadat of Allah. That's something that I share every Friday through Zoom at 11 a.m. UK time. If that's something that you feel you'd like to connect and join in, you can send me a message through all the social media links down below. Yesterday, when doing the session, I read something which was from Surah Baqarah, and the ayat was 29th ayat. And it really transformed me from inside out, and I felt a desire to share it with you all. So I'm going to read through my notes and try and explain it as I go, with the intention that may Allah accept the efforts that we make towards spreading His light and His love amongst the hearts of those who are willing and open to receiving His mercy and His love. You see, for me, Quran was always something that I was told to read, to memorize, to, look at the calligraphy and the alphabets. So it was all about the mind, how the mind was going to behave when receiving and seeing the word of Allah. And as I went through a spiritual journey, I became very conscious about how Allah speaks to our mind. Yes, of course, He guides our mind and heals it. But at the core of it, it is in our hearts when the word of Allah gets activated. The light of those words, those alphabets, those kalam, those verses, those ayat, shine through us in our lives. So it's not just something that we read and recite and memorize, it is something that we start living. When the Quran is heard with the intention to hear it from the heart, it opens us to living Quran. It guides us and heals us in places that were blocking us from living what Quran wants us to live as. And what is it that it needs to heal within us, which will help us be guided towards His light and His word. I've always read Quran for that, what I'm hearing. So the words would not make much sense to me because it's an Arabic language and I don't know Arabic. So for me, it was really tricky to make sense of the words. I would listen to it, I would meditate on it. And yes, of course, it has a power on you. You know, the vibration of the sound that the words of Allah make brings purity in your space. So you can leave it on, while doing things in your house. But it is another thing to sit and meditate on the words of Allah. But every time I tried doing it, it would be very half-hearted and I would get agitated or, irritated and, get edgy about it and just move on. And I realized that it was only my one organ, which was the mind, which was forced to listen to it and to make sense of it. But as I went on to my journey, I realized it was basically my heart needed to feel what the word of Allah was allowing me to feel inside. It was not about what I was thinking. It was about how the ayat of Quran make me feel. And that feeling that we have within us is what Allah wants us to have to connect to Him. Because it is that feeling that gets activated which makes us want to make the right choices for the right reasons so that Allah is happy with us. I really hope that makes sense to somebody. But having said all that, I want to start with the ayat. It is the translation of ayat 29 from Surah Baqarah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi Shali Sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Please Allah guide me to share that what you want me to share with those who are listening, to melt their hearts, to guide their hearts, to heal their hearts and bring them closer to you, inshallah. It is He who created everything on earth for you. Then He turned to the sky and completed the 7 heavens. He has knowledge of all things. This ayat got me asking a couple of things. Number one, created earth and then turned to the sky. Why did He need to let us know that He created the earth first and then He turned to the sky? And then He says, the second thing was then completed the 7 heavens. Now my brain got completely stuck in these words because I was so disconnected with my heart. I was only focused on that what was zahir to me, that what I was seeing, reading and hearing, but not that what I was feeling, which is within me, that is my batin. The meaning behind the hidden words. My curiosity kicks in and a feeling of, oh, I didn't know this comes up. And that feeling is what I had to sit with. I needed to sit with this understanding that I did not know this. You see, when Allah is saying to us that He created the whole of earth for you and me, He then turned to the sky and then completed the 7 heavens. And then in the end, He says, He has knowledge of all things. In this ayat, He wants you and me to have a sense of that what He has given us, that what we can't know fully about, and that what we have no power or understanding of. So He makes you curious, and that's the feeling you have to sit with, that you don't know something. And to know it more further, you will only know it as much as He chooses for you to know. But your desire is kicked in by the fact that He's pulling you in through these words. You get curious. Now, sitting with this and not knowing, that feeling of not knowing guided me to look it up. And what I did was, of course, my first go-to is Numan Ali Khan. Alhamdulillah, he's one of the people who has helped me get out of spaces that I personally never thought I could ever in my life. If it was not for his guidance and the videos that people share of him, all the people, everything that he does, and the people, the team, every human being that is connected to sharing these YouTube videos online, may Allah really, really reward them. For then I went to his video, looked it up, that what does he say about this ayat, and you can go and Google it also yourself. It's very clear and he explains this beautifully, and I'm sure there's a message for you in there from Allah, inshallah, if you go look him up. Now, hearing him helped me understand my feelings of not knowing, of not understanding. You see, when we are in tune with our inner world of emotions and feelings, we are able to read the words, but alongside feel the emotions they are bringing up. That is how Quraan aligns the heart with the mind, the sky and the earth, the creator and the creation. When we read the word through our eyes and we speak it from our mouth and we listen to it from our ears, the mind is activated. Now, this is the part which normally we are made to think of as the done thing, right? But in reality, to really absorb Quran in you, we need to feel what the words of Allah are making us feel. For that, you have to sit with yourself and you have to be so in tune with that what is being said, that what you are saying, that what you are hearing, that what you are seeing. You need to be so in tune to hear them, to see them, to speak them, and know what they make you feel. And that only happens when your chakras, the 7 chakras, are aligned. What that means is, now somebody might come to me and say, that's not religious. I'm not going to get into that explanation in this video, but just for your understanding in this moment, what it means is that what you see, hear, and speak are aligned with that what you feel in your emotional, in your soul body. So your soul is connected to your body, and your heart is connected to your mind. Only and only then, when the both are in sync with each other, you will be able to receive the word of Allah, not only through that what you hear, speak, and see, but also through the heart, meaning that you will feel his words. And that's the part that we have not been given. Well, personally, I haven't been told about it or taught about it, that you have to sit with the word of Allah, and we have to really, really concentrate on how the words of Allah are making us feel inside our heart. Now, one is the visible zahir and one is batin. One is for the mind and one is for the heart. And remember that what is zahir is visible to you, so you'll be able to see it. But that what is batin, you'll have to make an effort. You'll have to make commitment and a path and space to sit with the word of Allah, to try and understand it from your heart, not only hear it, see it, and speak it. Check that there's a session of Zahir and Batin on my Patreon. If that's something that you are more curious about, then I would really advise you to go check that out. It explains the name of Allah, Ya Zahir and Ya Batin, and it also has a beautiful grid that you can learn and create and connect to as a form of ibadat. The Patreon link is down below in the description box. But to know more about this Zahir and Batin, that what we see and that what we don't see, how does Allah help us come to a space of understanding that both are equally important? You can't just see something and not feel anything about it, right? The word of Allah are the words that helps our mind see. So when you open your Quraan, the book of Quraan, you are able to see the alphabet, see the ayat, see the words written. When you see them, then you are able to read them. And then you are able to hear what you are reading. So there is a process, there is a way of how the mind works. The mind sees it, then your mouth recites it, meaning reads it, and then your ears hear it. Seeing is done through the eyes, reading is done from your mouth, and hearing is done from your ears. Now, it's so important to be grateful to Allah for giving you eyes that are able to intentionally look at His words. Because even by looking at His words, the form of the words, the alif, the lam, the be, the te, all of these are alphabets that Allah chose to bring down into this world so you and I could see them. And when we see them, we are able to read them. So it makes you be very, very grateful to Allah for these beautiful powers that you have, that you're able to see through your eyes, you're able to read through your mouth, and you're able to hear what you are reading through your ears. And then in this very moment, we become very grateful to all these powers that we have, that Allah has given us, so that through these powers, we are able to connect to His word, InshaAllah. Now, seeing made me read, and reading made me hear. So if I couldn't see them, I couldn't read them. And if I couldn't read them, I couldn't hear it. So you see how they're interconnected to each other? So seeing comes first, then comes reading, and then comes hearing. Now when we flip this sequence the other way, that is how Allah spoke to the prophets. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all the prophets before him. If you think about it, we needed proof. They did not need the proof. We need a proof of Allah. And so Allah created this whole universe for you and me to see and be reminded of Him, so that we are able to connect to His creativity and be able to remember Him through it. But for the prophets, He gave them the intuition, the clarity in their hearts to be able to hear Him without proof, because their trust and faith in Allah was so unshakable. They knew that what they heard in their heart was coming directly from Allah. And so they followed their intuition. Whereas for you and me, Allah's blessing is that He created this whole universe so that you and me can see all the creation and turn to Him in remembrance of Him. Whereas the prophets first heard the revelation, heard the commandments. They heard Allah in their heart, and their intuition was so powerful because their heart was so pure and so clean and so detached and so not distracted by this world that they were able to hear Allah's voice clearly for that what it was, and they had no doubts about it. So for you and me, because our hearts are not that strong, that pure, Allah helped us by giving us His creation. So He made us powerful in our eyes so that we were able to see first. And then the prophets, once they heard the message in their heart, the revelation, meaning Quraan or whatever the books that came before, then they brought it out to people. And the most beautiful thing was that they weren't scared of the people at all. They knew that their intuition was being guided by Allah, and they had so much trust in Allah with no doubts whatsoever that they spread what they heard in their heart out through their mouth. So they heard it and then they spoke it, like they read it out. Now when they read it out, they were not worried or scared of what people were going to say or judge them for, because they knew that the truth that they are speaking is coming from Allah, and Allah is going to protect them regardless of how the world sees it. It didn't really matter to them what they were saying and who they were saying. So it mattered what they were saying, but not to who they were saying. They spread like sunshine the word of Allah, the message of Allah. They spoke to all openly without worrying about what they will perceive it as, because their inner strength, their ruh, their heart was so connected to Allah, was so purified that they knew that Allah will not do anything that is bad for them. But what happens with us is when we try to speak about our faith, our Allah, our connection with Allah, we are so worried. What will people say? How do I say it? Do I wear this and say it? Am I using the right terminology? We doubt over and over and over again, and that is why Allah gave us the whole universe to see and have no doubts that this whole kainat, this whole universe is being worked by somebody who is beyond you and me. So He's letting us know through this ayat that everything that I created, the prophet, the books, the creation, everything that exists was created for you, the one who is listening, so that you could be reminded of Allah. The prophets went through hell just so that you and I could be able to receive this book that we can read and be connected to Allah. And then once it was read out to the people by the prophet, the intuition that they received from Allah, the messages they received, the guidance they received in the form of their intuition, when they delivered without fear to the people of this world, they started seeing the miracles. It was first Hazrat Musa alayhi salam heard it in his heart to bang or to move the stick on the floor in front of this massive ocean which had no pathway, nothing whatsoever. He heard that in his ears, He acted upon it, meaning like he read the message, he delivered the message that nobody but Allah will always be with me. And he moved his stick, and as he moved his stick, then he saw the miracle. Whereas for humans like you and me, it all happens opposite. We want to see the proof of Allah, then we start speaking about it, and then we start going, oh, let's hear Allah's word because it has power. And that's just to say that there's no right or wrong in this. Those people were chosen to do that, and you are chosen to do this. But either way, those people were created, their stories were told so that you and I could learn from them and understand how Allah has created all of that for you, so that in case you have any doubts in your intuition, you know that it is from Him. When you clean your heart with Quran daily, when you connect to the word of Allah, when you are open to receiving and being in Allah's presence, when you make an effort and commitment to your healing, to your own self, He guides you in ways that are unimaginable for your mind. And then He said He turns, once He's told you that everything on the earth is for you, meaning the prophets, the creation, the book, the everything is for you. Then He says He turned to the sky. Now, why did He need to tell us about the sky? Because you see, the sky is a space that makes us feel a certain way. It's vast, it's huge, but yet it has these clouds, the rain comes from it, the sun shines, the stars in it. So Allah's telling us that He turned to the sky for the reason that you and I can turn to the sky and look at it. On the earth, He's given you everything that you need to survive, to be guided back to His path. Then there is the sky, where you will be getting indications and warnings from Him. So inside your ruh, so imagine the earth is your body and the sky is your ruh. So inside your ruh, you will get the indications and you will get the warnings inside you. When you look at the world, the earth that is around you, that He has gifted you, when you look at the creation and understand that it is for you, from your mind you understand that, right? That it is from Allah. Once you understand that, there's a certain emotion that happens within you. So the clouds get building, or the rain starts coming, you start crying, or you somehow feel the sunshine rising. Oh my God, my Allah is with me, and the stars are shining, and you feel guided. Those are the indications, symbolically speaking, that Allah is saying inside your ruh, meaning inside your sky, He has given and created your indications and warnings for you to listen to. But understand that it is the sky. You see, the sky is not in your control, right? So your ruh is actually in the control of who? The one who created it. And that is how vast your ruh is within you. It's not like a tiny little speck. It is massive. It is so big that it is beyond your understanding. You see, you can only see the sky, that where you're standing is where you can see your sky. But actually, your ruh is way bigger. It's so huge, right? And that's how Allah wants you to connect to your ruh, your soul within you. And then He says, and completed the 7 skies. He's letting you know that there is a heaven beyond the 7 skies. Now, you don't need to have the information about this. The first thing He said is, look around you. Everything on the earth is about for you, right? To learn from, to connect from, and to be in awe of the creativity of your Malik. Then He turns to the sky and says, okay, so then now understand that the sky is there also, through which you will get the indications and you'll get the warnings. But then again, it is something that you might know and you might not know, right? So it is half-half, 50-50. One is 100%, then you get 50%. Then He says, then there'll be 100% that you will not know. The heavens, the 7 heavens, it's completed, it's ready for you, it's waiting for you. For when you turn to me, you know you will be coming there. But right now, don't focus on that what you don't know. Don't focus on that what you can't know. Don't focus on things that you can't control. Focus on the things that I have blessed you, that you are able to see, hear, and speak about. Focus on how you are channeling these 3 things. What are you seeing? What are you speaking? What are you hearing? And notice that everything everything should remind you of me. Once you connect to that, connect it to your heart, knowing that you might be able to understand everything, you might not be able to understand anything, but in that space, know that I am with you, I've got you, I'm holding you. The sky holds the earth. So your soul is actually guided by Allah, and it is what holds you. We all think it's the body that holds the soul, but think about it. If you convert it, if the body was symbolically the earth, the ruh was your sky. That's how vast you are. You only see a tiny bit, but there is massive energy in you that you don't even know of, that you can't even tap into. You see, you can't tap into the whole sky. And then he says he has knowledge of all things. What an incredible Allah he is. He guides us and says, I have created everything on the earth for you. And then he says, talks about the sky, that he turned to the sky. Then he says, I've completed the seventh heaven. And then he says, he has knowledge of all things. So understand that what you see, that what you don't understand, that what you can't even see and can't understand, are all that what I have created. And so only I have the knowledge of all of that. He has the knowledge which is infinity, which is a number that cannot be defined. There is no number to his knowledge. But for you and me, imagine like we only know 1%, just 1% of all that is. And he knows everything. Everything that can't be calculated, everything that can be calculated, everything that is beyond calculation. He has the knowledge of all things. And that makes you suddenly come into a very humble space to understand that you are a human being. You will not have the information to know what path and what way to go next. But he knows, and he will guide you through your soul. So when you tap into your heart, when you connect to your Allah through your heart, and for that you will have to heal yourself. And to heal yourself, to get into your heart, to soften your heart, you have to spend time with yourself and commit to connecting to him and communicating with him regularly. And one of the things that I teach through my art sessions, like I said, all the sessions are available on Patreon. Every single session, as you do them, you will unlock, unblock, and heal yourself in a way that you will need no other healer in your life. You yourself will connect to Allah at such a deep level that you will become the healer yourself. You will receive the power of healing and guidance from your source through doing these small activities that I've shared on my Patreon, and they are so powerful. My life completely has shifted into something that I never even imagined myself speaking about Allah the way I do now. And it is incredible how he heals you and guides you and puts you back into place after breaking and taking away everything. He helps you stand back up again, because he is the giver of life and he is the giver of death. And so I really hope that this brought you some kind of clarity and closeness to Allah, and remind you that everything that you know of today and everything that you can't make sense of is all under his control. And there's lots more that you and I don't know what he's protecting us from. So may Allah protect us, may Allah guide us, may Allah hold us, help us, provide for us, and always remind us that he alone is our Malik, he alone is our Khalik, and he alone is the one who we belong to, and we inshallah will return. I'm sending you lots of love, light, and peace, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please share it and help me reach more hearts to heal, to connect to Allah, and to be in his presence, inshallah ta'ala. Allah Hafiz for now, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.